Number. Every day at dawn. Number. Part 1. The dropship fell from the sky like a dying bird. It hit the landing pad at Forward Operating Base Meridian with a screech of torn metal and the smell of burning fuel. Alarms screamed across the compound as emergency crews rushed forward with fire-suppressant foam and medical equipment. Hyun-woo looked up from his workbench in Repair Bay 7. Through the reinforced windows, he could see smoke rising from the crash site. Another bad one. The Ravager swarm had been pushing hard against the outer colonies for weeks now. Every day brought more damaged ships, more broken equipment, more soldiers who would never fight again. He set down the circuit board he had been soldering and wiped his hands on his work rag. The other engineers in the bay were already gathering near the windows. Trying to get a better look, Hyun-woo stayed at his bench. He would know soon enough what needed fixing. 20 minutes later, the bay doors opened with a hydraulic hiss. 2 medical officers came through first, then stepped aside quickly. What came through next made everyone in the repair bay stop and stare. She was massive, nearly 8 feet tall, with shoulders as wide as a loading door. Her armor was black as midnight, made of some kind of living metal that seemed to shift and flow, even while standing still. But the armor was ruined. Great cracks spider-webbed across the chest plate. One arm hung at an unnatural angle, sparking where the neural connections had severed. The left leg dragged behind her, the knee joint completely shattered. She was Valorian. Everyone knew about the Valorian warriors. They were legends across the galaxy. Unstoppable in battle. Fearless. Ruthless. They felt no pain and showed no mercy. Their armor was part of them, grown with them since childhood, bonded to their bodies in ways human science still did not fully understand. The Valorian warrior walked past the staring engineers without looking at any of them. Her face was pale, almost crystalline under the harsh repair bay lights. Her eyes were solid black, no white, no pupil, just endless dark that seemed to swallow light. She stopped in front of the repair bay chief, a gruff man named Park who had been fixing military equipment for 30 years. Park looked up at her and did not flinch, which Hyun-woo respected. Most people flinched when a Valorian looked at them. "I need repairs," she said. Her voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. She spoke Korean, with a strange accent that made each word sound sharp and dangerous. Park walked around her slowly, examining the damage. He pulled out his scanner and ran it over her armor. The device beeped and chirped, then displayed a long string of error codes. Park's expression grew darker with each passing second. "This is bad," Park said finally. "The bio-neural network is completely fried. The quantum locks on your joints are corrupted. Half your power distribution system is gone. And these cracks in your chest plate go all the way through to the secondary layer. Can you fix it?" The Valorian asked. Park was quiet for a long moment. Then he shook his head. "No. This armor is beyond repair. The damage is too extensive. We will have to remove it and fit you with a replacement suit. We have some Valorian-compatible models in storage." The change in the warrior was instant and terrifying. One moment she stood still. The next, her hand was around Park's throat, lifting him off the ground. The other engineers scrambled backward. Someone reached for the alarm button. "You will not touch my armor," the Valorian said. Her voice had not gotten louder, but somehow it filled the entire bay. "It has saved my life in 100 battles. It is part of me. You will repair it, or I will kill everyone in this room." Park made a choking sound. His face was turning red. The Valorian showed no emotion at all. She simply held him there, waiting. "She will kill him," someone whispered behind Hyun-woo. "Someone do something." Hyun-woo stepped forward. He did not run. He just walked calmly across the repair bay floor until he stood next to the Valorian warrior. She was so tall that the top of his head barely reached her armored shoulder. "I can fix it," Hyunwoo said quietly. The Valorian's black eyes turned to him. She did not release Park. The armor, Hyunwoo continued. I can repair it. It will take time. Maybe 2 weeks. But I can do it. He is lying, the Valorian said. Your chief says it cannot be done. The chief is thinking about automated repairs, Hyunwoo explained. Machines cannot fix your armor. The bioneural pathways are too complex. The living metal does not respond well to fabrication systems. But I do not use machines for repairs like this. I use my hands. Accents. Another. Accents. The Valorian stared at him for a long moment. Hyunwoo met her gaze without looking away. He was not trying to be brave. He simply saw no point in showing fear. Either she would believe him, or she would not. Finally, she released Park. The chief dropped to the ground, gasping and coughing. 2 engineers rushed forward to help him up. The Valorian ignored them all. She continued to stare at Hyunwoo. You will fix my armor, she said. It was not a question. Yes, Hyunwoo said. But you have to trust me. Some of the repairs will hurt. The armor is connected to your nervous system. When I work on certain sections, you will feel it. Valorians do not feel pain the way you do, she said. Still, Hyunwoo said. I am telling you now. I will be as careful as I can, but I cannot promise there will be no discomfort. The Valorian was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded once. A sharp movement, like a blade cutting air. When do we begin? Tomorrow morning, Hyunwoo said. At dawn. Come to this bay at 0500 hours. The repair cradle in the back corner will be prepared for you. Why dawn? The Valorian asked. Hyunwoo thought about how to explain. Because that is when the base is quietest. There will be no one to disturb us. And this kind of work requires complete focus. I need silence and steady hands. The Valorian studied him for another moment, then turned and walked out of the repair bay. The sound of her damaged armor echoed through the space long after she was gone. Park approached Hyunwoo, rubbing his throat. Are you insane? Are you insane? He rasped. You cannot fix that armor. No human has ever successfully repaired a Valorian battlesuit. The technology is beyond us. Crass, I know, Hyunwoo said calmly. He walked back to his workbench and began organizing his tools. But I gave my word. So I will find a way. That night, Hyunwoo did not sleep. He spent the hours reading everything the base library had about Valorian armor. There was not much. Most of it was speculation and theory. The Valorians guarded their technology secrets carefully, but Hyunwoo noticed patterns. He saw how the living metal grew in crystalline structures similar to certain minerals found on Earth. He read about the bioneural interfaces and realized they functioned on principles not unlike human nerve tissue. The quantum locks were strange, but quantum mechanics followed rules, even if humans did not fully understand them yet. By the time the sun began to rise, Hyunwoo had filled 3 notebooks with sketches and calculations. He had a plan. It was not a complete plan, but it was a start. At 0500 hours exactly, the repair bay doors opened. The Valorian warrior stood in the doorway, backlit by the red light of dawn. She looked at the repair cradle Hyunwoo had prepared, then at Hyunwoo himself. You are here early, she said. I am always early when I have important work, Hyunwoo replied. He gestured to the cradle. Please, stand here. We will begin with the shoulder joint. It has the least damage, so it will be good practice for both of us. The Valorian walked to the cradle and stepped into it. The frame adjusted automatically to her height. Hyunwoo approached, with his tools laid out on a tray. He selected a small plasma torch and a micro-welder. What is your name? He asked as he began examining the shoulder joint up close. Kalen, she said. I am Hyunwoo, he replied. He activated the plasma torch at its lowest setting and began carefully cutting away the damaged outer plating. This will feel strange. Tell me if it becomes too much. Kalen said nothing. But Hyun-woo noticed her hand gripping the cradle frame. Her knuckles turned pale with pressure. He worked slowly, methodically, treating each piece of her armor as if it were made of glass. When he had to remove a section completely, he laid it carefully on his workbench, organized by position and connection points. He would need to remember exactly how everything fit together. 6 hours passed. Hyun-woo did not stop except to wipe sweat from his forehead. His back ached from bending over the detailed work. His eyes burned from staring at tiny connection points, but his hands never shook. Finally, he stepped back. The shoulder joint was repaired. It was not perfect. He could see where the welds showed, where the metal had been broken and made whole again. But it was functional. When he ran his scanner over it, all the readings came back green. "Move your arm," he said to Kaylin. She raised her arm slowly. The joint moved smoothly, without sparking or grinding. She rotated it, tested the full range of motion. Then she looked at Hyun-woo with an expression he could not read. "It works," she said. She sounded surprised. "Yes," Hyun-woo said simply. "Tomorrow we will do the other shoulder. Then the leg joints. The chest plate will be last. That is where the most critical systems are." Kaylin stepped out of the repair cradle. She looked at her repaired shoulder, then at Hyun-woo. "You kept your word." "I always keep my word," Hyun-woo said. Kaylin nodded once, then walked out of the repair bay. Hyun-woo watched her go, then turned back to his workbench. He had 13 more days of work ahead of him. Maybe more. But when dawn came the next morning, Kaylin was there again. And Hyun-woo was waiting. Number every day at dawn. Number, Part 2. The days fell into a pattern. Every morning at dawn. Kaylin arrived at Repair Bay 7. Every morning, Hyun-woo was already there, his tools laid out in precise order, his workspace clean and organized. They spoke little. There was no need for words when the work spoke for itself. By the end of the first week, Hyun-woo had repaired both shoulder joints, the left leg actuator, and half of the back plating. The work was slow and demanding. Valorian armor did not respond to standard repair techniques. The living metal had to be coaxed back into alignment, not forced. The bio-neural pathways required patience and the steadiest of hands. The other engineers in the bay had stopped watching after the third day. They had their own work to do, their own damaged equipment to fix. But sometimes Hyun-woo would feel eyes on him and look up to see Park observing from across the bay. The chief never said anything, just watched, and then went back to his own repairs. On the 8th morning, Kaylin arrived to find Hyun-woo talking quietly to a piece of her armor. He had removed one of the chest plates and was cleaning years of battle residue from the interior surface. As he worked, he spoke to it. "I am sorry," he was saying. "This solvent is harsh. It will sting. But the corrosion must be removed, or the neural connections will not bond properly." Kaylin stood in the doorway, watching. Hyun-woo did not notice her yet. He continued speaking to the armor plate, as if it could hear him. "You have protected her well," he said softly. "Through so many battles, so much damage. You deserve better than to be discarded. We will make you whole again." "The armor cannot hear you," Kaylin said. Hyun-woo looked up, not startled, just aware that she had arrived. "I know," he said. "But my grandfather taught me that the way you treat something shows what you believe about it. If I treat your armor with respect, I am more careful, more focused." Kaylin stepped into the bay and walked to the repair cradle. She had learned the routine now. She knew where to stand, how to position herself to give Hyun-woo the best access to whatever section he needed to work on. As Hyun-woo began the day's repairs, Kaylin asked, "What was your grandfather?" "A blacksmith," Hyun-woo said, carefully realigning a neural filament thinner than human hair. "He made tools and knives in the old way. No machines, no fabricators, just metal and fire and a hammer. He said that every piece of metal had its own spirit. You had to listen to it, understand it, work with it, instead of against it." That is foolish, Kalen said. Metal has no spirit. Armor is equipment. It serves a purpose. Hyun-woo was quiet for a moment, his hands never stopping their work. Then, why did you threaten to kill everyone, rather than let them replace yours? Kalen had no answer to that. The work continued. Hyun-woo's hands moved with absolute certainty. Even when working on systems he had never encountered before. He learned as he went, treating each component as a puzzle to be solved, rather than a mystery beyond understanding. On the 10th day, another Valorian arrived at the base. His name was Tarek, and he was even larger than Kalen, his armor a deep red color that looked like dried blood. He had come to deliver reports from the front lines and to resupply before returning to battle. Tarek found Kalen in the repair bay. She was standing in the cradle, while Hyun-woo worked on her right arm assembly. Tarek watched for a long moment, then spoke in the Valorian language. The words were harsh and guttural, full of hard consonants that sounded like breaking stone. Hyun-woo did not understand the language, but he understood the tone. It was mocking, cruel. He looked up and saw Kalen's expression change. Her jaw tightened. Her hands, which had been relaxed, curled into fists. Tarek spoke again, longer this time. Other Valorian words Hyun-woo did not know. But he saw Kalen's reaction and knew whatever was being said was bad. Leave, Kalen said in Korean, her voice tight with barely controlled rage. Tarek laughed. It was an ugly sound. He said something else in Valorian, then reached out and touched Kalen's damaged armor with one finger, almost like a caress. It was clearly meant to be insulting. Kalen moved faster than Hyun-woo had ever seen anything move. She was out of the repair cradle and had Tarek by the throat before anyone could blink. The two Valorians crashed through a workbench, scattering tools and parts across the floor. They fought with terrible violence, their armored fists striking with sounds like thunder. Alarms blared. Security forces rushed in with stun weapons. It took 8 armed guards and a full-power electrical discharge to separate the two warriors. Tarek was dragged away, still shouting insults in his native language. Kalen stood in the center of the wrecked repair bay, breathing hard, her black eyes burning with fury. After Tarek was gone, after the security forces left, after the other engineers had cleaned up the worst of the damage, Hyun-woo approached Kalen carefully. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "No," she said. Her voice was flat, empty. "What did he say to you?" Kalen was quiet for a long time. Finally, she said, "In my culture, allowing another being to touch your armor is a sign of weakness. It is something done only between mates or between parent and child. By letting you repair my armor, by standing still while you work on it, I am showing weakness." Tarek said, "I have become soft, that I have forgotten what it means to be Valorian." "But your armor needed repairs," Hyun-woo said. "What else could you do?" "I could have accepted a replacement suit," Kalen said. "That is what a strong warrior would do. Let go of the damaged armor and move forward. But I did not want to. This armor has been with me for 15 years. It knows me. It responds to my thoughts. A new suit would take years to bond properly. I would be weaker in battle during that time. So you made the practical choice," Hyun-woo said. "Tarek does not see it that way," Kalen replied. "He sees a warrior allowing a human to handle her armor. He sees intimacy, where there should be only transaction. He sees me trusting you. And to him, trust is weakness." Hyun-woo picked up his tools from where they had scattered on the floor. He examined each one carefully, checking for damage. "Do you trust me?" he asked. Kalen looked at him. "Yes," she said finally. "I do not know why, but I do." "Then Tarek can think whatever he wants," Hyun-woo said simply. "Your armor will be repaired in 4 more days. After that, you can return to battle and prove your strength there. What others think does not change what is true." The next morning, Kalen did not arrive at dawn. Hyun-woo waited for an hour, then 2 hours, He prepared his workspace anyway, laying out the tools he would need for the delicate work on her chest plate. He reviewed his notes. He sketched out the neural pathway connections he would need to restore. At 0700 hours, the bay doors opened. Kaylin stood there, and Hyunwoo could see the conflict in her posture. Pride, warring with need. The desire to prove Tarek wrong, warring with the knowledge that she had already committed to this path. "I apologize for being late," she said stiffly. "You are here now," Hyunwoo said. "That is what matters. Come. Today we begin the chest plate. This is the most complex repair. I will need your complete cooperation." Kaylin stepped into the cradle. As Hyunwoo began to work, he noticed her watching him more closely than usual, studying his hands, observing the care with which he handled each component. "Why do you work so slowly?" she asked after an hour of silence. "Because rushing leads to mistakes," Hyunwoo said. "And mistakes with your armor could kill you. Better to work slowly and do it right." "You could use the automated systems for some of this," Kaylin observed. "It would be faster." "Faster is not always better," Hyunwoo said. He was carefully realigning a power distribution node, his fingers steady despite the delicate nature of the work. "The automated systems do not understand what your armor means. They see broken equipment. I see something that has kept you alive through 100 battles. Something that deserves respect and care." "You speak as if the armor is alive," Kaylin said. "In a way, it is," Hyunwoo replied. "It grows with you. It responds to your thoughts. It adapts to your fighting style. That is more alive than most machines I work on." Kaylin was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "On my world, there is a tradition. When a warrior's armor is too damaged to repair, there is a ceremony. The warrior says goodbye to the armor, thanks it for its service. Then it is cremated, and the ashes are scattered in the warrior's home territory. The armor's spirit returns to the land." "So your people do believe armor has a spirit?" Hyunwoo said gently. Kaylin made a sound that might have been a laugh. "I suppose we do. But we would never admit it to outsiders. Valorians are supposed to be practical, logical. We are warriors, not poets." "You can be both," Hyunwoo said. He worked for another 3 hours without stopping. His back ached. His eyes burned from focusing on the microscopic connections. But he did not complain. This was the work he had chosen, the promise he had made. When he finally stepped back, the main power distribution network in Kaylin's chest plate was restored. Not perfect, but functional. He ran his scanner over it and watched the readings stabilize into normal ranges. "The central systems are complete," he said. "Tomorrow I will work on the secondary backup networks. Then, the outer plating. 3 more days, and you will be ready for combat again." Kaylin stepped out of the cradle and looked down at her chest. The repair lines were visible, lighter metal against the darker original surface. Hyunwoo had not tried to hide them. "Why did you not make the repairs invisible?" she asked. "Because scars tell stories," Hyunwoo said. "Your armor has been through battles. It should show that. Hiding the damage would be like pretending it never happened. The repairs are proof that you survived, that you chose to keep going rather than give up." Kaylin touched the repair lines gently. "In Valorian culture, scars are marks of honor. In human culture, too," Hyunwoo said. For the first time since they had started this work, Kaylin smiled. It was a small smile, barely visible, but it was there. The next morning, she arrived at dawn exactly. And the morning after that. And the morning after that. 3 days later, the repairs were complete. Number. Every day at dawn. Number. Part 3. The completion of Kaylin's armor should have been the end. 3 weeks of work, dawn after dawn, and now the armor was whole again. All systems functional. All connections restored. The living metal gleamed under the repair bay lights, the scars of battle visible but no longer threatening. But it was not the end. Major Daejin called Hyun-woo to his office on the same day the repairs were finished. The major was a career military man, stern and practical. He did not waste time with pleasantries. "I have been watching you, engineer," Daejin said. "For 3 weeks, you have spent every morning working on that Valorian's armor. Meanwhile, we have defensive installations that need building, weapons that need maintenance, critical systems that have been waiting for attention, while you played artist with alien equipment. The armor required specialized attention," Hyun-woo said calmly. "No one else could have done the work." "That is not the point," Daejin said. "The point is that you are a military engineer assigned to this base for military purposes, not a personal technician for alien warriors. The Valorian's armor is repaired now. Good. But this cannot happen again. From tomorrow, you will return to your assigned duties. Is that clear?" "Yes, sir," Hyun-woo said. But that night, as Hyun-woo tried to sleep, he could not stop thinking about the armor. There were still improvements he could make. The quantum locks in the knee joints could be calibrated better. The power distribution could be optimized. The neural response time could be reduced by 0.3 seconds if he adjusted the interface protocols. Small things. Things that would not make much difference. Except in battle, 0.3 seconds could mean life or death. The next morning, Hyun-woo arrived at the repair bay before dawn. He had decided. He would work on Kalen's armor, on his own time. Before his shift started, after it ended, whenever he could steal a few hours, Kalen was already there, waiting in the darkness. She stood perfectly still, and if Hyun-woo had not known she was there, he might have walked right past her. "I thought the repairs were complete," Kalen said. "They are," Hyun-woo said. "But they could be better. If you will allow me, I would like to continue optimizing the systems." "You have other duties," Kalen said. "I do," Hyun-woo agreed. "But this is important to me." Kalen studied him in the dim light. "Why?" Hyun-woo thought about how to answer. "Because I gave you my word that I would fix your armor. And I want to do more than just fix it. I want it to be the best it can be." "That is foolish," Kalen said, but there was no heat in the words. "You will exhaust yourself for no gain." "Let me worry about that," Hyun-woo said. So the work continued. But now, Hyun-woo worked his regular shift during the day. 8 hours of building defensive walls and maintaining weapon systems and all the other tasks a combat engineer was expected to do. Then he worked another 6 hours on Kalen's armor, before dawn and after sunset. He slept 3 hours a night. Sometimes 4. The other engineers noticed. Park pulled him aside after a week. "You look terrible," Park said bluntly. "When was the last time you ate a full meal? When did you last sleep more than a few hours?" "I am fine," Hyun-woo said. "You are not fine," Park said. "You are running yourself into the ground." "For what?" "The Valorian does not care about these improvements. Her armor is functional. That is all that matters to her kind." "It matters to me," Hyun-woo said. Park shook his head. "You are a strange man, engineer. But you are also the best repair technician I have ever seen. Do not kill yourself over this." Hyun-woo promised he would be more careful. But the next morning, he was at the repair bay before dawn again. And Kalen was there, waiting. She had started coming earlier too, Hyun-woo noticed, and staying later. Sometimes she would ask questions about what he was doing. Sometimes she would just watch in silence. Once, she brought him food from the base cafeteria because she noticed he had not eaten all day. "Valorians do not do this," she said when she handed him the meal tray. "We do not concern ourselves with whether others eat or sleep." "Then why did you bring this?" Hyun-woo asked. Kalen had no answer. 3 weeks after the original repairs were complete, disaster struck. Hyun-woo was working on a particularly delicate neural interface calibration. He had been awake for 20 hours straight. His commanding officer had assigned him to a double shift, and then he had come to the repair bay to continue work on Kalen's armor. His hands were shaking from exhaustion. He knew he should stop, should rest, should come back when he was fresh. But he was so close to finishing the calibration. Just a few more connections, and this section would be perfect. The plasma torch slipped. It was only a fraction of an inch. A tiny mistake, but at the heat setting, Hyun-woo was using a fraction of an inch was enough. The torch cut through the armor plating and into Kalen's side. The smell of burning flesh filled the repair bay. Kalen did not cry out. She did not even flinch, but Hyun-woo saw the damage, and horror washed over him like ice water. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no." He dropped the torch and grabbed his medical kit. His hands were shaking worse now, from shock and exhaustion and fear. He had hurt her. He had promised to fix her armor, to make it better, and instead, he had wounded her. "It is nothing," Kalen said. Her voice was steady. "Valorians heal quickly. This will close in a few days." "I am sorry," Hyun-woo said, his voice cracked. "I am so sorry. I should not have been working. I was too tired. I made a mistake. I hurt you." He cleaned the wound with antiseptic, his hands still shaking. Then he applied medical foam to seal it and prevent infection. The whole time, he kept apologizing, kept telling her how sorry he was. Kalen watched him with an expression he could not read. She had been injured thousands of times in battle. Stabbed, shot, burned, crushed. Pain was simply information. A wound was a tactical concern. Nothing more. But Hyun-woo's distress over hurting her was something she had never experienced before. Warriors hurt each other. It was the nature of combat. Even allies sometimes wounded each other accidentally in the chaos of battle. This was expected. Accepted. So why did this human look like causing her pain was the worst thing he had ever done? "Why are you so upset?" she asked. "It is a minor injury." "Because I did not want to hurt you," Hyun-woo said. "Because you trusted me to work on your armor, to work near your body, and I failed that trust." "Trust?" Kalen repeated the word slowly. "Is that what this is?" Hyun-woo looked up at her, his eyes red from exhaustion and unshed tears. What else would it be? Park arrived then, summoned by the medical alert that had triggered when Hyun-woo grabbed the medical kit. He took one look at the situation and immediately ordered Hyun-woo to the medical wing. "That is an order, engineer," Park said firmly. "You are done working for today. Maybe for the next 3 days. You need sleep and food and actual rest." "But the armor," Hyun-woo started to protest. "We'll still be here when you recover," Park interrupted. "Go. Now." Hyun-woo wanted to argue, but his body was failing him. His vision was blurring. His legs felt weak. He nodded slowly and started toward the door. "Engineer," Kalen called after him. He stopped and looked back. "You will return?" she asked. It was the first time she had phrased anything as a question, rather than a statement or command. "Yes," Hyun-woo said. The base medical officer put Hyun-woo on mandatory rest for 72 hours. He was not allowed to work, not allowed to leave his quarters, except for meals and medical checkups. The doctor gave him sedatives to force him to sleep. For 3 days, Hyun-woo rested. His body slowly recovered. The shaking in his hands stopped. The exhaustion that had settled into his bones began to lift. On the second day, he had a visitor. Kalen stood in the doorway of his small quarters. She looked strange in the confined space, too large for the human-sized room. She had to duck her head to fit through the door. "You should not be here," Hyun-woo said from his bed. "Valorians do not visit the wounded." "I know," Kalen said. She looked around the room, taking in the scattered notebooks filled with armor sketches, the reference books on alien metallurgy, the half-eaten meal trays. "But I wanted to see if you were well." "I am recovering," Hyun-woo said. Kalen picked up one of his notebooks and flipped through it. Page after page of detailed drawings, notes in the margins, calculations, and theories. All about her armor. Weeks of work represented in these pages. "Why do you do this?" she asked. "You have completed the repairs. The armor is functional, superior to its original state. Even. There is no requirement for you to continue. No obligation. Yet you work yourself to collapse. Why?" Hyun-woo sat up slowly. He thought about how to explain something that seemed so obvious to him. "Because it is yours," he said finally. "Because it is important to you. Because I said I would make it better, and I meant it. That is enough reason." Kalen set down the notebook. "On my world, promises are tactical tools. You make a promise to achieve an objective. Once the objective is met, the promise is fulfilled. There is no emotion attached to it. But you," she paused, searching for words, "you treat your promise as if it is sacred, as if breaking it would break something inside you." "Yes," Hyun-woo said simply. "I do not understand humans," Kalen said. "I do not think I fully understand Valorians either," Hyun-woo replied. "But that does not mean we cannot work together." Kalen was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "When you return to the repair bay, I will help you. You can teach me what to do. I am strong. I can hold things. I can fetch tools. You should not carry this burden alone." "You would do that?" Hyun-woo asked, surprised. "You work on my armor because you gave your word," Kalen said. "Perhaps I can learn to keep my word too." 3 days later, Hyun-woo returned to Repair Bay 7 at dawn. Kalen was waiting. But this time, she was not just standing in the repair cradle. She had laid out all of Hyun-woo's tools in the order he preferred. She had prepared the workspace. She had even made tea, using hot water from the bay's cleaning station. "I do not know if I made it correctly," she said, gesturing to the tea. Hyun-woo took the cup. The tea was terrible, too strong, too bitter. But he drank it anyway, and smiled. "It is perfect," he said. "Thank you." And together, in the quiet before dawn, they continued the work. Number. Every day at dawn. Number. Part 4. The alarms began at 0300 hours, screaming through every speaker on forward operating base Meridian. Hyun-woo jolted awake in his quarters, his heart pounding. He knew that sound. 3 short blasts, then a long wail. Incoming attack. He pulled on his uniform and boots in less than 30 seconds. Outside, the base was chaos. Soldiers running to defensive positions. Officers shouting orders. The night sky lit up with streaks of weapons fire. Through the noise and confusion, Hyun-woo heard someone yell, "Ravagers! Multiple contacts! They are inside the perimeter!" The Ravager swarm. The nightmare that consumed worlds. Biomechanical horrors that adapted and evolved during battle. Learning from every encounter. Becoming deadlier with each passing moment. Hyun-woo had seen footage of Ravager attacks. He had helped repair equipment, damaged in their assaults. But he had never actually faced them. He ran toward Repair Bay 7. Not because it was safe, but because it was where he could be useful. Engineers would be needed to keep defensive systems running, to repair damaged weapons, to patch holes in the base's shields. The bay was already full of activity when he arrived. Park was directing a team of engineers, sending them to different sections of the base. When he saw Hyun-woo, he nodded. "Good. You are here. I need you on the eastern defensive wall. The automated turrets are malfunctioning. Get them back online." Hyun-woo grabbed his toolkit and started toward the eastern section. Then he stopped. Through the bay windows, he could see the tactical display showing all active combat units. Among the markers, he spotted Kalen's identification code. She was on the front lines. Of course she was. That was where Valorian warriors belonged. But her armor. The repairs were good, but not perfect. There were still optimizations he had planned to make. The knee joints were not quite as responsive as they should be. The power distribution had a slight delay under maximum load. Small imperfections that would not matter in normal circumstances. But against the Ravagers, small imperfections could be fatal. Hyunwoo made a decision. He ran to the weapons locker and grabbed a plasma cutter and a portable welder. Then, he headed for the front lines. Park saw him and shouted, "Where are you going? I gave you an assignment." "I know," Hyunwoo called back. "But something is more important." He did not wait for permission. He just ran. The eastern perimeter was hell. The Ravagers had broken through in 3 places. They were things from nightmares. Each one different. Each one perfectly designed to kill. Some skittered on too many legs. Others flew on membrane wings. All of them had weapons grafted onto their bodies. Biological and mechanical, fused into instruments of death. Human soldiers fought desperately. Alien allies from a dozen different species held the line. And in the center of the worst fighting, Hyunwoo saw Kaylin. She moved like a force of nature. Her fists crushed Ravager drones. Her armored feet shattered their carapaces. She was magnificent and terrible. Exactly what a Valorian warrior should be. But Hyunwoo could see the problems. Her right knee locked up for a fraction of a second during a pivot. Her power output flickered when she threw a heavy punch. The delays he had noticed during testing were becoming critical under combat stress. He watched through the tactical display in his toolkit as Kaylin engaged a larger Ravager, one with blade arms and armored plating. She dodged its first strike, countered with a devastating blow to its center mass. But when she tried to follow up, her right arm's power coupling failed. The coupling Hyunwoo had been planning to replace next week. The Ravager recovered and pressed its attack. Kaylin blocked with her left arm, but she was off balance now, compensating for the failed right arm. The creature's blade caught her across the ribs, skittering off her armor but throwing her backward. She hit the ground hard. The Ravager moved in for the kill. Hyunwoo did not think. He just acted. He ran forward, plasma cutter in hand. It was a tool, not a weapon. It was designed to cut metal, not fight monsters. But it was all he had. The Ravager's attention shifted to him. Easier prey. Weaker. Hyunwoo activated the plasma cutter at maximum power and swung it like a sword. The superheated plasma beam sliced through the Ravager's blade arm. The creature shrieked, a sound like tearing metal, and recoiled. "Hyunwoo!" Kaylin shouted. She was already moving, getting to her feet despite the failed arm. "What are you doing here?" Quote, "Your power coupling is failing," Hyunwoo shouted back. He dropped to his knees beside her, already opening his toolkit. "I can fix it. Give me 30 seconds. "We do not have 30 seconds. Kaylin grabbed him with her functioning left arm and pulled him behind a damaged barricade. 3 Ravager drones skittered past, their sensors scanning for targets. Hyunwoo opened a panel on Kaylin's right arm, his hands moving with the speed of long practice. The power coupling was visible, sparking and damaged. He grabbed the portable welder and went to work. Around them, the battle raged. Explosions rocked the ground. Weapons fire lit up the darkness. Soldiers screamed. Ravagers shrieked. And in the middle of it all, Hyunwoo repaired armor with absolutely steady hands. "This is insane," Kaylin said. She was using her body to shield him from stray fire. "You should not be here. You are an engineer, not a soldier." "I am doing my job," Hyunwoo said calmly. He replaced a burned-out connector and rerouted power through a backup circuit. "My job is to keep your armor functional. This is where your armor is. Therefore, this is where I need to be." The welder sparked. The coupling clicked into place. Hyunwoo ran a quick diagnostic on his scanner. "Try it now," he said. Kaylin flexed her right arm. Full power returned. The servos hummed with restored strength. She looked at Hyunwoo with an expression somewhere between amazement and fury. "You are the most foolish human I have ever met," she said. "Probably," Hyunwoo agreed. A Ravager drone spotted them and charged. Kaylin stepped forward, her right fist glowing with power, and punched straight through its center mass. The creature exploded in a spray of biological matter and shattered machinery. "Stay close to me," Kaylin ordered. "If you are going to be this stupid, at least let me protect you." For the next hour, they fought together. Kaylin engaged the Ravagers with all her warrior skill. Hyun-woo stayed behind her, plasma cutter in hand, and somehow managed to stay alive. When her armor took damage, he patched it with field repairs. When she needed a weapon, he grabbed fallen equipment and handed it to her. They were not trained for this. They had no tactics, no coordination, but they made it work anyway. The sun began to rise. Dawn painted the eastern sky red and gold. And slowly, impossibly, the Ravager attack faltered. The swarm had not expected such fierce resistance. They had not adapted quickly enough. The base's defenders, human and alien alike, had held the line. The Ravagers retreated, pulling back into the wilderness beyond the base perimeter. Cheers went up from the surviving soldiers, but the celebration was muted. Too many had fallen. Too much had been lost. Hyun-woo collapsed against a broken wall, his entire body shaking from adrenaline and exhaustion. He had cuts on his arms and legs. Shrapnel had torn through his uniform in a dozen places. But he was alive. Kaylin stood over him, her armor scorched and dented, but intact. She looked down at him for a long moment. "Why did you come to the battle?" she asked. The question she had been too busy to ask during the fighting. "Your armor needed field maintenance," Hyun-woo said. He knew it sounded absurd, but it was true. "You could have died," Kaylin said. "So could you," Hyun-woo replied. Medical teams were moving through the battlefield now, treating the wounded, collecting the dead. One medic approached them, saw Hyun-woo's injuries, and tried to lead him away. "I am fine," Hyun-woo protested. "There are others who need help more." "You have shrapnel wounds and probable internal bleeding," the medic said firmly. "You are coming to the medical wing." Now, Kaylin watched as they led Hyun-woo away. He looked back at her once, gave a tired smile, then disappeared into the crowd of wounded. Around the base, fires still burned. Repair crews worked to patch holes in the defensive walls. Engineers assessed the damage to critical systems. The sun continued to rise, indifferent to the violence that had stained the dawn. Kaylin stood alone on the battlefield, surrounded by the wreckage of Ravager drones and fallen soldiers. She looked at her right arm, at the field repair Hyun-woo had made under fire. The welds were rough, clearly done in haste, but they held. They were enough. She thought about Hyun-woo running toward danger instead of away from it, about him repairing her armor while death screamed around them, about the way he had smiled at her even while wounded and exhausted. She thought about his question from weeks ago. "Do you trust me?" And she thought about her answer. Yes. In 15 years of warfare, Kaylin had fought beside thousands of warriors. She had seen courage and cowardice, strength and weakness. She had witnessed incredible acts of heroism and terrible betrayals, but she had never seen anyone do what Hyun-woo had done. Risk everything. Not for glory or honor or tactical advantage, but simply because he had promised to keep her armor functional. Valorians did not understand this kind of thinking. Promises were tools. Relationships were hierarchical. You used others or were used by them. But Hyun-woo had used nothing. He had simply given his time, his skill, his sleep, his safety. He had given everything, asking nothing in return. Kaylin walked back toward the repair bay as the sun climbed higher in the sky. Her boots crunched on broken glass and spent shell casings. Around her, forward operating base Meridian began the slow process of healing. She found Hyun-woo later that day in the medical wing. He was asleep, his injuries bandaged, an IV dripping fluids into his arm. She stood by his bed for a long time, just watching him breathe. A nurse approached and whispered, "Are you family?" Kaylin thought about that question. about what family meant, about the Valorian traditions she had been taught since childhood. "Yes," she said finally. "I think perhaps I am." She stayed until he woke. And when his eyes opened and he saw her there, the smile that spread across his face was worth more than any victory she had ever claimed in battle. "Your armor," he said, his voice rough from sleep. "Did the field repairs hold? Did the field repairs hold?" "They held," Kaelin said. She sat down in the chair beside his bed, her armored form too large for the furniture but managing anyway. "But that is not what I want to talk about." "What then?" Hyunwoo asked. Kaelin was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked the question that had been building inside her for weeks. "Why are you so gentle with me? Number. Every day at dawn. Number. Number." Part 5. Hyunwoo looked at Kaelin from his hospital bed. The question hung in the air between them, like something fragile and precious. Outside the medical wing, he could hear the sounds of the base recovering from the attack. Repair crews working, officers giving orders. Life continuing despite the violence that had tried to end it. "Why am I gentle with you?" he repeated softly. He thought about how to answer. How to put into words something that felt as natural as breathing. "My grandfather once told me," Hyunwoo began slowly, "that the way you treat something shows what you believe about it. If you treat a tool carelessly, you are saying it has no value. If you treat it with respect, you are saying it matters." He shifted in the bed, wincing slightly at the pull of his injuries. "When I first saw your armor, I saw something that had been through hundreds of battles, something that had kept you alive when death came looking for you. That deserves respect. That deserves gentleness." "But I am not my armor," Kaelin said. "No," Hyunwoo agreed. "But you are connected to it. The armor grows with you. It responds to your thoughts. To hurt it carelessly is to hurt you. And I never wanted to hurt you." "Warriors hurt each other all the time," Kaelin said. "It is the nature of combat. Even training involves pain." "I am not a warrior," Hyunwoo said simply. "I am an engineer. I fix things. I make things whole. When I see something broken, I want to repair it. When I see something damaged, I want to restore it. That includes you." "You think I am broken?" Kaelin's voice had an edge to it. "No," Hyunwoo said quickly. "But your armor was. And you were hurting because of it. Even if you would never admit it. I saw that hurt and wanted to fix it. Is that so strange?" Kaelin stood and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. "On my world," she said quietly, "gentleness is seen as weakness. From the time we are children, we are taught to be strong, to show no pain, to need no one. Compassion is a luxury that warriors cannot afford." She turned back to face him. "But, watching you these past weeks, I have been confused. You are gentle, yes, but you are not weak. You kept your promise even when it exhausted you. You ran into battle to repair my armor under fire. You have shown more courage than many warriors I have fought beside." "Courage is not the same as violence," Hyunwoo said. "I am beginning to understand that," Kaelin replied. "But it goes against everything I was taught. Everything I believed about the universe." She walked back to his bedside and sat down. "In Valorian culture, there are only two types of beings: predators and prey, the strong and the weak. You use others, or they use you. That is the way of things." "And which am I?" Hyunwoo asked. "Predator or prey?" Kaelin was quiet for a long time. "Neither," she said finally. "You are something I have no words for in my language. You give without taking. You help without demanding. You care without expecting anything in return. This does not fit into my understanding of the world." "Maybe your understanding needs to change," Hyunwoo said gently. "Yes," Kaelin said. "I think it does." She reached out with one armored hand, and carefully, so carefully, touched Hyunwoo's shoulder. The gesture was awkward, uncertain. Valorians did not comfort others. They did not offer physical affection. But she tried anyway. I told you before that in my culture, only family or mates handle another's armor, she said. When I allowed you to repair mine, I was making a choice. A choice that would brand me as weak in the eyes of my people. I am sorry, Hyunwoo said. Do not apologize, Kalin said firmly. I knew what it meant. I chose it anyway. Because... She paused, searching for words. Because for the first time in my life, I met someone who treated me as if I had value beyond my ability to kill. Who saw me as more than a weapon. You are more than a weapon, Hyunwoo said. You are a person. You deserve to be treated with gentleness, even if you have never received it before. Kalin made a sound that might have been a laugh or might have been a sob. It was hard to tell. See? That is what I mean. No one has ever said such things to me. No one has ever looked at me the way you do. How do I look at you? Hyunwoo asked. Like I am worth the effort, Kalin said simply. Like fixing my armor matters. Like I matter. They sat in silence for a while. Outside, the base continued its work. Inside the medical wing, wounded soldiers rested and healed. Time moved forward, as it always did. Finally, Hyunwoo spoke. What will you do now? The battle is over. Your armor is repaired. You will receive new orders soon, I imagine. Yes, Kalin said. I have already been contacted. They want to send me to a shock trooper unit in the core systems. It is a promotion. An honor. They say my performance during the battle was exemplary. That is good, Hyunwoo said, though his voice sounded hollow. It is what every Valorian warrior should want, Kalin agreed. Glory, recognition, the chance to fight in important battles. But, Hyunwoo prompted. But I do not want it, Kalin said. The admission seemed to surprise her, as much as it surprised Hyunwoo. My people have a saying. A warrior walks alone, dies alone, and is forgotten alone. For 15 years, I have lived by those words. I have walked alone. I have expected to die alone, and I thought I would be forgotten when I fell. She looked at Hyunwoo. But you changed that. You made me feel like someone would remember. Like someone cared whether I survived or not. And now that I have felt that, I cannot go back to walking alone. What are you saying? Hyunwoo asked quietly. I am saying that I want to refuse the promotion, Kalin said. I want to request a transfer to wherever you are assigned, if you will have me. Hyunwoo stared at her. That would destroy your career. Your people would see it as the ultimate weakness. Choosing a human over glory. Let them, Kalin said. I have spent 15 years proving my strength to others. Maybe it is time I chose something for myself instead. Are you sure? Hyunwoo asked. This is a big decision. You should think about it carefully. I have been thinking about it since you ran into battle to repair my armor, Kalin said. Actually, I have been thinking about it since the first morning you kept your promise to fix what everyone else said was broken. You showed me that there is more to life than combat. That there is value in creation, in repair, in gentleness. I want to learn that. I want you to teach me. Hyunwoo smiled. It was tired and pained, but genuine. I would be honored. And 3 days later, Hyunwoo was released from the medical wing. His injuries had been more serious than he had thought. Cracked ribs, internal bruising, deep cuts that had required surgery. But he was young and strong and stubborn. He healed. Kalin came to walk him back to his quarters. As they moved through the base, soldiers stopped and stared. The Valorian warrior and the human engineer. An unlikely pair. People are talking, Kalin observed. Let them talk, Hyunwoo said. We know the truth. That is enough. They reached his quarters, and Kalin helped him inside. The room was still a mess. Notebooks and sketches everywhere, reference books stacked on every surface. But now, There was something new. A small package on his bed. Hyunwoo opened it carefully. Inside was a piece of metal, beautifully crafted, shaped like a small flower. It was made from the damaged plating that had been removed from Kalen's armor during the first repairs. I made it, Kalen said. Or tried to. I am not skilled with delicate work. But I wanted to give you something. To thank you. Hyunwoo held the metal flower carefully. It was rough and imperfect, clearly made by someone learning a new skill. But it was beautiful because of that. Not despite it. It is perfect, he said. Thank you. 2 weeks later, new orders came through. Hyunwoo was being transferred to a colony world called New Haven. The planet had been hit hard by Ravager attacks. They needed engineers to rebuild, to restore what had been destroyed. Kalen's transfer request was approved the same day. She would go to New Haven too, assigned to train the local defense forces. They left Forward Operating Base Meridian together at dawn. The shuttle lifted off as the sun rose, and Hyunwoo looked back at the base that had changed his life. Repair Bay 7 was visible from the air, a small building that had become sacred ground. Are you nervous? Kalen asked. About the new assignment? A little, Hyunwoo admitted. New Haven was devastated. There will be so much work to do. So much to rebuild. Then it is good you will not be alone, Kalen said. 6 months later, on New Haven, Hyunwoo stood in a workshop he had built with his own hands. The building was simple but functional. Large windows let in the morning light. Workbenches lined the walls, covered with tools and equipment. This was where he taught now. Not just repair techniques, but philosophy. The idea that how you treat something matters. That fixing what is broken is more valuable than discarding it. That gentleness is a kind of strength. Other engineers came to learn from him. Some were human. Some were alien species he had never encountered before. All of them were welcomed. Kalen had her own students. She taught combat and defense, but her methods were different from traditional Valorian training. She was still fierce, still demanding, but she was also patient. She explained why techniques mattered, instead of just demanding they be performed. She praised improvement, instead of only punishing failure. Her students adored her. The local defense force was becoming something special, strong, but not cruel, disciplined, but not heartless. Every morning at dawn, before their students arrived, Hyunwoo and Kalen met in the workshop. Sometimes he worked on her armor, making small adjustments and improvements. Sometimes she helped him with construction projects, her strength applied to building instead of destruction. They talked while they worked. About their days, about their students, about the colony slowly healing around them, about small things and large things, and everything in between. Other pairs had started forming on the colony. Human and alien partnerships based on mutual respect instead of hierarchy. The barriers between species were coming down, one friendship at a time. One morning, as Hyunwoo carefully adjusted a servo joint in Kalen's armor, she asked, "Do you ever regret it? Choosing this life instead of staying at the military base?" "Never," Hyunwoo said without hesitation. "This is exactly where I want to be. Even though the work is hard, even though we are far from Earth, especially because of that," Hyunwoo said. "We are building something here, something new, something that might change how different species see each other. That is worth any difficulty." Kalen smiled. She had been smiling more lately. It looked good on her. "You have taught me so much," she said. "About patience, about seeing value in restoration instead of destruction." "You have taught me things too," Hyunwoo said. "About courage, about honoring commitments, about choosing your own path instead of the one others expect." He finished the adjustment and stepped back. "Try it now." Kalen moved her arm through its full range of motion. Perfect, smooth, no delays, no glitches, just pure, efficient movement. "It is better than it has ever been," she said. "Good," Hyunwoo said. "But I was thinking, maybe next week we could work on optimizing your leg servos. I have some ideas about improving your sprint speed. Kalen laughed. Always thinking ahead. Always finding ways to improve. That is what engineers do, Hyunwoo said with a smile. She stood and walked to him. Then, carefully, she rested one massive hand on his shoulder. The gesture was familiar now. Natural. A sign of affection and trust. Thank you, she said quietly. For everything. For fixing my armor. For showing me gentleness. For teaching me that there is more to life than combat. Thank you, Hyunwoo replied. For trusting me. For giving me the chance to help you. For choosing to stay. Outside, the sun continued to rise over New Haven. In the distance, they could hear the sounds of construction. The colony was growing, healing, becoming something new. Kalen looked out the window at the dawn. What is on the schedule today? I have 3 new students this morning, Hyunwoo said. All of them want to learn repair techniques. And this afternoon, I need to work on the water purification system. It has been making strange noises. Ark. I can help with that, Kalen offered. I am getting better with mechanical systems. You are, Hyunwoo agreed. You have a natural talent for it. They stood together in the morning light, the human engineer and the Valorian warrior. 2 people who should never have met, who should never have understood each other, who should have remained strangers, separated by culture and biology and the vast distances of space. But they had met, they had understood, and they had chosen each other. Every day at dawn, they began again, working together, building together, creating something that neither could have made alone. It was gentle work, patient work, the kind of work that did not show immediate results, but changed everything slowly, one repaired piece at a time. And in a galaxy torn apart by war, where violence seemed endless and hope seemed fragile, that gentle work mattered more than any battle, because they were not just repairing armor or building structures, they were showing that there was another way, that strength could be gentle, that warriors could heal, that different species could not just coexist, but truly connect. The sun climbed higher. The day began. And somewhere in a workshop on a healing world, a human and an alien worked side by side, proving that the future could be better than the past. If only someone was brave enough to be gentle,